Going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. And today is Monday. What is Monday? September 18th. And wow, I mean, this will be an exciting week because it's Fed meeting week. This week, the Fed will meet. So, how will markets react? We found a few trades this morning. So, we'll talk to you about this. And of course, we'll talk about the trades that expired last week. Oh, shoot, I gave it away. Anyhow, you'll see what we did with our trades. By the way, if this is your first time here, I'm Markus Heitkoetter. This super smart guy over there is my head coach, Markus, and we're real traders who trade live accounts. So therefore, we got a lot of trading experience, and we're showing you how we trade these crazy markets. So trust me, we know our stuff, and we're not afraid to tell you like it is. So if you're here looking for some honest insights into the fascinating world of trading, you are in the right place. And boy, this will be an interesting week, Mark. What do you think?
I think we're gonna get some moves, which
Yeah.
makes it interesting. I mean, really, it's all about the Fed this week. There's no surprise there, Marcus.
Yeah, let's actually hop over and go to the economic calendar so that we see what's happening. So the Fed meeting starts tomorrow, but really on Wednesday when it wraps up, this is when we see the grande finale. It all starts at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, with the announcement what they will do with the rate, plus a brief statement, and then I think everybody is waiting for Powell to grab the mic at 2:30 Eastern Time and tell us what he thinks about all this.
Exactly. Right now, it's not about whether or not the Fed will raise rates. The markets have priced in the fact that the Fed will not do that. So that would be a complete shock to the market. Instead, it's about what the wording is, whether Powell gets aggressive with his fight against inflation and says we have to fight harder and potentially raise rates, or if he says things are looking pretty good, we're at a good point. And that's the difference between hawkish and dovish.
Right. And right now, traders think that we're at a good point because if you look at the probabilities, 99% probability that the Fed keeps rates the same at this meeting. No surprise there. But now also the scales are tipping in your favor for the box of stakes. I mean, almost 70% probability that they will not raise rates in November. I'm a little bit surprised by these probabilities.
Well, in your favor, traders and this Fed funds futures tool has been wrong since
Yeah.
the Fed started raising rates. Traders and investors have always thought the Fed won't go as far, and the probabilities, as far as future projections go, the probabilities for the upcoming meeting have been pretty spot on. But for future projections, they've always been a little more optimistic, thinking that the Fed won't raise. And I know that the dot plot, what Fed members have projected for the future, shows that we still have a hike or two. So we'll see if that changes and hear what Powell has to say.
Yeah, because last week we had inflation data coming in hotter than expected. We had the CPI data increasing by 0.6%. We had the PPI data increasing by 0.7%, way more than the expectation. So this is where I don't think that Powell can shrug this off. And this is where everybody wants to know, okay, what is Powell thinking about it? Does he say, yeah, well, that's okay. It's just one data point. We're looking at everything. Or will he mention in the meeting that he's getting concerned that inflation could push higher again?
And this is where I think crude oil is playing a big role in things right now. Crude oil hitting highs that we haven't seen since November. And you kind of have what would be considered a good thing, and that is more demand for oil. If you're going into a recession, and also China, if nobody is producing anything and crude oil demand is weak, then that's another story. But here, demand's increasing, and OPEC is not increasing output.
Yeah. So, I mean, you mentioned it at prices that we haven't seen since November last year. And for the quarter, we're up 30%. We talked about it
Crazy.
last week, but I mean, this quarter up 33%. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
It is. Pretty big move there. Pretty big move.
Yeah. Looking at the markets overall today, the markets are on a 5-minute chart of the S&P 500, basically saying, "I don't know what's going on. Let's wait for the Fed." I mean, in the overnight session, let's take a look at the overnight session for a moment. There was a little bit of a scare coming into the open, where it's looked like, okay, crude oil futures are pushing higher, and now suddenly it's all about crude oil. But then, ever since the market opened, I mean, we were just diddling around so far.
And to me, that would be expected. And that drop that you showed with the futures, Marcus, even that seemed a little exaggerated based on the chart that you're looking at. It is a drop. What? That's 3 points, right?
Right.
Or no, 13. I'm sorry. But even so, my point is not. Yes, there was this drop, and crude oil was spiking at the same time. But going into this week, it could be that it's pretty flat and undecisive until Wednesday.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at our positions. And then, if you want, we also have a few new trades for you. And you know the drill. If you have been watching out, we're trading likes for trades. So if you want us to show you the trades that we found today, click on like and we'll take a look at those. And on this, let's actually take a look at our current positions and what happened to the trades that we had on yesterday. Oh, one quick look here. It's pretty, we see it. It's a very mixed market today, looking at the heat
Yep.
map. All right. So ALB. ALB was a trade that we were both in. We had the 180 strike price, and on Friday, we closed at 183. So this expired worthless.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. And there's another possibility today where you can sell the 177.50. I mean, we decided not to take the trade, but it's a good trade, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, this was definitely on my radar. And at one point, the 175 popped up briefly. That to me was attractive. That gets you closer to those lows that we had back in May. But we were considering a few other opportunities at the same time.
Yeah. Then also GM General Motors. I was in General Motors last week. I sold the, I can remember, 3250, I believe. And on Friday, obviously, we closed higher. So this one also expired worthless. Right now, the 33 is available. I think that's a little bit high here. And also with the UAW strike going on, I would wait here a few days, but that is another great possibility here. Earlier this morning, the 3250 was available.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. And we'll see how the strike plays out, but we also have the Fed to consider this week too. So I think you could take that in consideration. There is a potential market moving event on Wednesday. Here you have that. Well, let's look at CSIQ.
Yeah. CSIQ, and we talked about it. This is all about interest rates, right? And then until Wednesday, we'll probably be in this holding pattern here because, I mean, they're a solar company, and of course, interest rates make a huge difference of when you amortize the solar on the roof. So, I mean, we talked about it this morning with our mastermind, Mark. You said it. I mean, salespeople probably have a hard time pushing solar right now.
And that's the thing. Nobody's paying cash for solar. It's always financed, and there's a great talking point when you're a salesperson, and you could say, "Hey, it pays for itself in 9 years or whatever it might be." But when now, and I don't know the exact numbers, but if it's going so far in the future because of the higher interest rates that you're talking about equipment upgrades that need to take place before it gets paid off, it's a harder sale. So I
For sure.
think that we probably need another earnings season where these companies could say, "Hey, we revised our future guidance down, but actually things are better than expected." And also some dovish talk from the Fed will definitely help CSIQ.
Yeah. I mean, for today, down 1%, and again, it's the uncertainty of what will happen here. We'll talk about NEE in a moment, but PNC. PNC had a good week last week. Today, a little bit down 1%. So we will see. I mean, but we had a phenomenal run last week. I mean, we moved off these lows all the way up here. That's 10%. I'm not surprised that there's a little bit of profit taking here right now after this strong move.
Yeah, a pause right now because of that huge pop, and then also the Fed. That's to be expected.
Yeah. NEE, Next Era Energy. That's super interesting one. So we did get assigned at 69.50. While we were assigned and owning the stock, there was an ex-dividend date, and the dividend got deposited into our accounts on Friday. So that was a nice surprise.
Nice little bonus there. That's why, for me, it doesn't have to be that wheel stocks pay a dividend, but I prefer it. And this is a perfect example. Brings down your break even a little bit, or a nice little paycheck, depending on how you want to view it. And yesterday or Friday, we had the 69.50 calls expiring.
Yeah. So now we can take a look at it at possibly selling those again, and that's where NEE. Let's see where we are at right now for Fridays, 69.50. Okay, 20 by 30 is possible. This morning, some of our mastermind members grabbed the 30 when it was available. What do you think right now?
I like 30 cents or more on this. I think 30 is great. And we started to come back. If you look at a 5 minute chart of NEE, it's been moving today, which is good. I like to see some movement here because it tends to be a little more quiet. But after the open, and like you said, some mastermind members got 30 cents, it dropped, it's come right back. Let's see if we have a little more upside here, though.
Yeah, it would be nice to have another push. But yeah, NEE is doing great because if we go back to the chart, we see that after the dividend payment, my break even is right now at 68.05. We are trading at 68.53, so definitely above the break even. That's what we want to see.
Yep.
All right. So let me ask you: do you want to guys? Do you want to see some of the trades that we took this morning? Because if so, do us a favor, give us a like. We actually have two trades to talk about, and let's see how many likes we get. We can start with the first trade. What do you think about that, Mark?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first trade, this is actually where I decided to join you in UPS. I mean, you have had UPS. You sold the 165, got assigned, and so right now you own UPS at 165. This morning, the 157.50 was available. It still is. It still is. So the 157.50, I sold that one for 95 cents, which
Nice.
gives me 43% annualized. So I'm liking this. Joining you here on UPS.
Love it, love it. I think that's a great strike. And if you look a little bit further back, support wise, this one has some really nice support at those levels. So even though it's seen a little bit of some downside recently, there's strong support going back a while.
Yeah. And also looking at the chart, I mean, at first it started dipping, and I mean, premiums of $1.10 were even possible. Right now, coming back, but premiums of 75 to 80 cents are still available if you want to take this trade here as well. All right, let me see how we're doing on likes. We're doing pretty good. We want to show them the other trade that we did, Mark?
Sure.
All right. So the other trade, Texas Instruments. So Texas Instruments here, super interesting. I actually got the 160 strike price. So as you can see, Texas Instruments meets our criteria. Market cap above 5 billion, a nice dividend yield, a P ratio of lower than 50. Looking here at the quarterly statement, super solid. The annual growing with growing profits. I mean, this just looks like a super solid company. And then there was the 160 available a little bit earlier today.
I like that. The 160 looks great. Great looking chart for the wheel strategy there. And the 160, yeah, you know what? Because 68 cents would be minimum for the 30% annualized that we look to target. And it's just slightly below it now. It looks like you could get 61 cents, which is a little lower than we would want. But
Yeah,
good looking trade. Good looking
yeah.
chart.
Anyhow, I took this one. Do you want to talk about what you decided to do?
Me getting
Or not
greedy.
really? Is this something
Yeah.
that you want to talk about? Or
You
is
want to
this
talk about
something
the
where we say,
steak
well, I
you're
mean,
gonna send
it's
me?
too soon. Maybe that's something that Mark wants to talk about tomorrow, or maybe never ever. So How do you
So
feel?
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I love the trade, and I have one slot that I am looking to fill. I also know that the Fed is a potential market mover on Wednesday. We just don't know. Is it going to be to the upside? Is it going to be to the downside? Does it come Wednesday? Does it come Thursday morning? So this is a big week. So I want to make sure it's a great trade, and I liked it. I thought it was a great trade, but I was trying to get just a little bit more on the premium, and I didn't get it. So I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with myself. I feel good, Marcus, especially when I know that some steaks are headed my way in November.
We'll talk again after Wednesday. We'll talk Thursday morning of what's happening
All right.
here.
All right.
So, I mean, right now, we took a look at this earlier, the heat map. We have a super mixed market, not a whole lot going on. And going back to a 5 minute chart, we see that the Dow is down 20 points, which is nothing. The S&P is up not even a point. The Nasdaq is down 3 points. So, I mean, this is what we call an unchanged market, an absolute flat market here.
Exactly. So, and it could be that it's this way for the next 2 days.
Could be, could be. I expect a move tomorrow because markets don't like to be really squeezed into a range for 3 days in a row. And we already expect a really dull Wednesday morning, looking ahead at the Fed statement that is coming in the afternoon. But I think that we might see a move tomorrow. But today, it's super, super quiet.
It is.
All right. Hey, if you found this helpful, especially as we discuss our trades, do us a favor and give us a like. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing. There's also this little bell. When you hit it, you get notified whenever we go live, and we go live every morning when the markets are open. So do that right now, and then we'll see you again tomorrow morning.
Happy trading, everybody.